Hey everyone, I hope you've had a great day so far and that you're doing well. For this video we'll be going through an unboxing and review of the Premium Finish Studio Series Voyager class Optimus Prime. And this particular version of Optimus is basically the premium finish version of the Transformers Bumblebee Studio Series Voyager class Optimus Prime, which was released some time ago. But for this particular Optimus, I think this one was released tail end of 2021, and based on the front of the box, this is pretty much purely from Takara Tomy as opposed to being a Hasbro port over. And yeah, now I picked this up from HobbyLink Japan back in the day. However, given the age, I will not put a link to it because it's definitely discontinued and probably will never come back. So it's definitely one of those, if you want to get one, you will have to go fish. So good luck to anyone who is going to be that persistent to do it. Now Optimus will hopefully, should do, from the top of my head, will wrap up my Transformers Bumblebee unboxing and reviews of plethora of Autobots and Decepticons that were released in tandem with the movie. Well, I use the word tandem loosely because some came out well after the movie. So it's definitely been a very fun experience, and whilst I do have this Optimus in my collection, he's also in storage and in a crate. So because I was going to pick up the premium finish one, I thought I would just wrap things up with this version of Optimus. So here we have the front of the box with the Premium Finish Studio Series Optimus Prime. Now he should actually look really, really good. When I looked at Bumblebee didn't look too bad, but just looking at the front for Optimus, if he looks exactly like that, I'm a very happy camper. His original Voyager definitely wasn't too bad, but being a premium finish, I would expect just that extra layer of detailing to be done. So that's the front side of the box. We do have a shot of Optimus with his ion gun. And on the other side, we have a shot of Optimus basically about to put the beat down on Starscream. Although I believe in the movie it was just a generic Seeker, not Starscream, that he decided to throw into the ground. Back of the box, just a few shots of Prime once again. So we've already seen that one, and a bit of a dynamic pose of Prime jumping through the air. Fortunately, being Takara Tomy and coming from Japan directly, everything unfortunately is still in Japanese. So, box side done, time to get Optimus out. If Bumblebee is any indication, it will definitely be the figure, definitely be the weapon, definitely be the instructions, but these premium finish ones, unlike the everything else Studio Series, won't be including a backdrop, which is okay. Anyway, let's get Prime out, have a better look. And with Optimus out of the packaging, what do we have? We have one accessory, his main weapon, Optimus himself, and I will admit, I'm really liking the look. From what I remember of the original one, this is just so much better. Visually, that is. And the manual. As I mentioned before, there's no backdrop, so that'll save a minute or two. So before we delve too much into Prime, just put your blaster and you to the side. As for your manual, so this will be Takara Tomy style of manualing. So we go through all the relevant steps of how to transform him, which is pretty normal. Now I'm hoping some of his transformation will become fairly intuitive as it goes through. I will admit, back in the day, I didn't even transform my original one, but I will admit I do like how there's some extra symbols throughout. possibly to suggest clicking, maybe? Possibly. I don't understand the Japanese, so that's not helping. Pretty much going through all of that. About 36 odd steps to put Prime into his vehicle mode, which isn't too bad. Fairly respectable for a Voyager class. And then we just have the quick steps on how to equip his weapon, as well as do the back storage. And it's just the one side, so that's actually not too bad. I will admit, Takara Tomy do have some nice manuals. Now, looking at these ones, I think this is your tabbing emblem, which is good. So it looks like there'll be some nice tabbing throughout. I'm sure I'll figure out what that other emblem is soon enough. So that was the manual. I'll probably need it later, but that's okay. Quick look at the blaster, which seems to be in a bit of a nice little graphite type color. Very nice detailing. It is the one color though. So in terms of putting it on Prime, so before we get too far away, so we can actually attach this to the back. We do have some 2 ports there. So that does mean that he can have it on either side. So that's side 1. Alternatively, if I put it in right, side 2. Or alternatively, he can actually hold his blaster when I'm not moving things dramatically around. And there we go, Prime holding his blaster. I will admit, he does look very, very cool with the extra detailing and everything. I mean, look at that torso. But we'll get to that in a minute. So that's Prime with the weapon. Very nice. Now we will see the weapon again in his alt mode. I will actually attach it to the back when the time comes. Now, before we get too carried away, Prime, of course you can stand on your own 2 feet. That'd be silly if you couldn't. Of course you can. You've got a very nice flush profile while we're at it. So, good old Optimus Prime from the front, side, the back, the other side, and a bit of a close-up on his head, and then a bit of a close-up of his upper body, just to actually see some of that detailing on the torso, as well as some of the faded paint on his forearms. Now, in terms of Prime, well, Prime, you're sporting your typical colours, so good dose of red, good dose of your dark blue. We have dark grey and silver, maybe even graphite as your other types of colouring. We do have some very nice light blue for your eyes, which really does help bring them out. We have some white paint apps, the dry brushed silver for that quote-unquote battle damage. I do like how we have the black and the gold yellow of sorts here on the waist, just to add some of that extra detailing. The detailing in the torso, I mean, that's really, really cool. It's definitely good that there's the color separation there. Black for the wheels, which isn't overly surprising. And it is nice that the actual inside has also been painted. And from the back, it's still pretty much the same colors that we've seen already. So, in terms of color palette, Prime is distinctly Prime. Now, we've had a look at your colors. We've had a quick look at you from a few different profiles. Articulation. What do we have? So, the head will do a full 360. Has a little, oh, actually, it does have a bit of a tilt up. A small degree of tilt down. That is cool. That'll obviously help getting his head into some different poses and things like that. Always a good thing. In terms of the arms, your arm will not do a full... no, I was going to say it could do a full 360, but it actually can't. whilst that is still relatively flush to the body, you do have a little bit of kibble, but I will make the point, it is relatively flush. So it's definitely not bad kibble. I've seen worse. But because of the kibble, even the back of the forearms, which is a little bit of kibble, you won't get that full 360 spin, which I guess isn't too bad. I mean, the arm can still go out to the front like so, can still go out to the back. Can't really do the going upwards per se, unfortunately. If you move some of that, the arm will go all the way out to the side, which is very good. Do we have any spin at the top? Yes, we do. So around the bicep area there is some spin. We have standard elbow as well, which is always a good thing. Now it looks like the hand could move, which it does. So the hand will have full rotation there, which is always very nice. So arms, in fact you even have a little bit of a back and front there with the arm at the shoulder joint itself. So the arm, pretty stock standard type of articulation there. It's definitely very useful. It is unfortunate that just because of this part of the vehicle mode, just how it folds up here, and then just some of the thickness of this back bit of his, I think that's the front of his cab, it does just get in the way ever so slightly, but overall still not too bad. In terms of the waist, well, the waist will be able to pretty much do a decent spin around, mainly because I think it's also part of his transformation, so of course it'll be able to spin around. That's always good, but you can definitely do more subtle side to side, which is always a good thing. In terms of the legs, I just do that with his arms, so the leg can go all the way out to the front. We'll only be able to go that far to the back, and in terms of the splits, almost a full split. Almost. At least the side skirting is relatively small. We'll try and actually lift up that side skirting. So we will have a full 360 spin here at the head of the hip, which is very cool. We already know about that. We already know about the front. We already know about the limited side. So if I bring the leg forward, the knee is quite nice. So you get just a bit more than that 90 degree, which is always cool. So I'm trying to see if I can actually try and get him to stand upright on one leg, but maybe not. But there you go. Always good to see that type of level of knee bend. The feet can definitely move front and back, which is good. I feel like I've detached something unintentionally, probably have. No side to side, which I guess isn't too bad, because given the amount of rotation in his hip area, I think he doesn't need to worry too much about doing some fancy footwork. I think he should be okay as is, which is cool. So there was no other extra articulation here in the lower leg other than his feet being able to just go forward and down, which isn't too bad. I do really like that knee bend though. So Prime, that was pretty much a quick rundown of your articulation, which isn't too bad. I think your legs will definitely be able to pull off some good poses. At least that's my current feel. I won't know until later on. Your arms I think will be okay. It's just unfortunate about some of the stuff on your back and the back of the forearm. Now, with that out of the way, the next thing to do will be to transform you and have a look at your alt mode. And then once we've done that, I'll have a few pointers about transformation. Hopefully it won't be too bad. Quick chat about the alt mode, and then do my final thoughts about this premium finish Studio Series Voyager Optimus Prime. And with Optimus now in his alt mode. Now I will admit, it did take a bit longer than I expected, but I did get there in the end, only because I had his legs in the wrong swivel position. So instead of having all this at the top, I had all that basically facing downward, which was not good. And as a consequence of that, it did impact all the tabbing of everything in the front cab. So similar to a certain Bumblebee that I will not further mention, there is a level of importance of getting everything into the right orientation. But with that now out of the way, here is Optimus in his vehicle mode. So from the front, from the side, and I do have his weapon attached, from the back, even though that looks a little bit off center, the other side, from the top, and from the bottom. In terms of articulation, what moves? So his wheels will definitely roll. Now, because I don't think I have those legs perfectly flat, it definitely doesn't look like the wheels are going to roll as they should. But if I practice the transformation more, hopefully that will resolve itself over time. Otherwise, in terms of other, things that technically can move, it's pretty much detaching and attaching the blaster there. It's okay there, but to be honest, I don't understand why a truck really needs that just blatantly sticking out at the back. I will admit, he does look a bit interesting from the back there when there's nothing there. I would have actually thought this would have actually folded downward just to make a bit more space. Now, before we get too carried away, colours for Prime. So his red and blue, the dark grey, still quite prominent. We do see now a lot of that white there for the band on the front of his cab. Good degree of silver for his front grille. A bit of silver on the side as well. Still seeing that silver on the rims of the wheels. So very much, you look at that and you go, that's Optimus Prime through and through. I definitely like the look of the front component of Prime. Like, the cab is very well detailed, the collars work very nicely, and if you do transform it correctly, everything does ultimately tab together very nicely, like so. So that actually does feel quite sturdy. The back, whilst there's still tabbing, so there's some tabbing that will ultimately put this section into the back of the cab, it does look a little bit open and spacious. Now, I will obviously add in the caveat that maybe I have potentially done something a little bit wrong here, especially since I had this mistransformed for a little bit. And it's also quite possible that in terms of alignment, I just haven't got the legs in the dead set correct alignment. And in fact, just looking at this, I feel this leg is out of alignment compared to this leg. I think this leg is perfectly fine. It's this one here. If I can... The reason why I say it doesn't look like it's in alignment, just looking at this bit here. And yes, this part of the thing. Although there's a tabbing point here, just doesn't want to tab in right, which is also why I think there's some degree of mistransformation. But going back to the back of the truck, it's definitely not too bad. It's definitely nice that it's got some of that detailing there. I'm still not too sure about this particular grey and blue bit area. But from a side angle, that does look really cool. Just try not to look at it from the front. Now, if it had an actual trailer, this wouldn't be an issue. I also do like how the smokestacks actually, instead of being traditionally on the side of the cab, are actually on the back of the cab. So that's a very different look. But overall, his alt mode is very, very cool. I do like the alt mode. Now, going back to the transformation, in fact, I'll just prime down there. So for the transformation, now I did mention the legs having them in the correct orientation because that does impact the tabbing of the front cap. The transformation, yes, I did follow the manual and still managed to botch it up, but certain steps is still very signature Optimus. So here in this section here already, unsurprisingly, these are his arms. His head is right here. Well, here anyway. So whilst it's not a direct 100% copy of Generation 1 Optimus, the homage back to the transformation sequence is still there. So I thought that was a very nice touch. And in fact, I feel I've said that twice now. What was the other time I said that? Rise of the Beasts, the mainline Optimus Prime. I said the same thing about the transformation as well, which would be interesting to see how this looks against the main line. And I do believe there should be a buzzworthy studio series as well, so we're going to have 3 different iterations of Optimus Prime between Transformers, Bumblebee and Rise of the Beasts. But so far, this one's definitely my preferred looking Prime. So transformation, definitely pretty intuitive and fluidic if you know what you're doing. Be careful of the legs, everything does tab quite nicely, and yes, you will feel a nice little sense of G1 transformation there, putting that all together. Vehicle we've already talked about, colours we've already talked about, articulation of the tyres we've already talked about. So bringing everything back together, and I will reattach his ion blaster. Yeah, just looking at that blaster just doesn't seem very dead straight. Okay, actually, can I do... One of these days I will get a different recording setup. Now, final thoughts of Premium Finish Studio Series Voyager Optimus Prime. Let's get the whole premium finish thing out of the way. I like it. Now, it doesn't help that I don't have the original Voyager next to him to do a direct comparison to, but from what my memory loosely remembers, Takara Tomy have done well making this premium finish version. Like the colours, the detailing and everything look very, very nice. Even the dry brushing of the silver on the forearms and things like that, just for that little bit of extra battle wear and tear. I think it's also on the same on the quads and thigh area. Really, really cool. So from a premium finish perspective, I think they have done very well at visually showing Prime. Prime's robot mode. Overall, not too shabby. Looks great. Articulation, pretty standard for a Voyager. I think the legs will probably be the better of the limbs. Time will tell if that's the case or not. The arms definitely weren't too bad, but because of the forearm rear kibble and some of the kibble on the back, just basically the front of his cap, it just does hinder certain movements. Not terrible, you can get around it, but there have been other figures that they've had little to no kibble there and just don't get any restriction in movement. But other than that, the robot mode is still very, very good, and because it is the premium finish version of Prime, aesthetically looks amazing. When I do the short, that will tell how well the articulation is. So I'll definitely have some final thoughts on that once this finally goes live through comment or on Instagram. Transformation, it's definitely not bad. Once you get the hang of it, it will be straightforward and easy. I think the only underlying point I'll make is just important. Make sure everything is where it needs to be. It does start to become very unforgiving if it's not. Case in point, make sure the legs are in the right orientation. Other than that, everything was very nice. I did like the little G1-esque style of some of the transformation. and everything does tab relatively nicely to keep everything nice and secure. So transformation wise, definitely not bad. I'm sure if I practice it a few more times, it'll just become second habit. The alt mode itself, visually, very, very nice. The colors, the detailing, all of that just work really well. I'm always on the fence about storing weapons in non-Cybertronian vehicle modes, but that'll always fall to me for the rest of the time. The only thing that looked a little bit weird is just the back of the truck. I would have thought that would have just been a bit more of a nice flatter section with the back of the legs, but it's definitely not too bad. I mean, everything still tabs and tries to look relatively flush to the main body, so it's not terrible. But if I was to take the weapon out, you would just see this little expanse of space if looking downward. But that's a fairly minor thing, to be honest, when it comes to the alt mode. Generally, the alt mode, you'll never see it unless for some bizarre reason you like literally posing, well, displaying him, looking down on him. But otherwise, vehicle mode, very, very nice. Now, whether it was the premium finish or even the original Voyager class Optimus, he's still a very amazingly solid figure. I would be very hard pressed to not recommend either. Yes, I would recommend the premium finish, definitely, because of that just little extra attention to detailing with the colors and everything. But even then, the base figure is still the same Voyager class figure that was released in the Studio Series many, many moons ago. So the base figure is still very solid once you get through some of its little particular quirks. So definitely, if anyone is still potentially on the hunt for a Voyager Optimus Prime per Transformers Bumblebee, I would say continue the hunt. I really wish you well. Hopefully you can get one. I did mention that there's obviously the Rise of the Beasts Optimus. There's going to be two different versions, one of which I have, the other one I'm pretty sure I've pre-ordered. No, I take that back. I have not pre-ordered the Buzzworthy one. I'll have to hunt for that one when the time comes. Definitely interested to see how those ultimately all look once together. That will definitely be down the track. But yeah, keep an eye on that. Suffice to say, my Rise of the Beast stuff is not yet finished. Almost there, but not yet finished. Plus I still have the later class Scourge to look at, so definitely keep an eye out for that. So yes, overall, Optimus Prime per Transformers Bumblebee, very solid pickup. I would definitely recommend for anyone who wants to have a copy of him, or if you're a Puritan Optimus fan, to which there are many, and all my usual points about why you want to pick up a Optimus Prime because you're a fan of the Autobots and stuff like that. So definitely very solid figure. I'm glad I now have two, which basically means I can have one in robot mode and one in vehicle mode, even better. Which one does which I have yet to decide. I need to get the other one out of storage to make that determination. Just trying to think if there's anything else. They've already talked about some of the pros and cons through each of the different areas. I've mentioned my recommendation. I'm going to leave the unboxing and review there. I've probably missed out something, but there is Instagram and the little quick highs and lows that I put later on in the video. Something might come out there, so definitely keep an eye out for those. I try to make them relatively quick to read. So yes, premium finish, Studio Series Voyager Optimus Prime. It has been fun. Thank you very much for watching this unboxing and review video. Feel free to leave a like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the content. All of this does help support the channel, and I do greatly appreciate it. Extra content can also be found on my Instagram account. The link to that is in the description below. It's also the same handle as the YouTube channel. And if you're still listening and you weren't fully aware, there should be a supplementary short of Optimus to go with this video. In fact, there might even be a card to it if you were to click around. With that being said, stay safe and take care, and I will catch you all in a future video, which will probably not be of the Transformers Bumblebee theme. It'll be something else. Assuming it's Transformers content. Otherwise, plenty of content on the channel. Until the next time. See ya.